For the first time in 18 years, we only have 2 cats. I made a post about this, I think about 2 weeks ago. Lady suddenly was having a lot of trouble walking with her hips. She was very wobbly, was hiding away, definitely in pain and hurting. We took her to the vet, she got an x-ray, and her spine was so bad. She had spondylosis, I think is what they called it. It was throughout her entire spine, her neck, even her tail. It's like, if this isn't hurting her now, it's definitely gonna become a chronic problem in the future. But also what showed on the x-ray, it was a spine x-ray, so it didn't really show the chest area very well, but her heart was enlarged and pushed forward into her sternum. But what was also really concerning was her lungs were lit up. They looked like fireworks, and the lungs are supposed to be like a black void on the x-ray. She said that they call some of this stuff like donuts, and I forget what the other thing was. Basically, from what I understand, it was inflammation severe enough to show on an x-ray. But we got sent home with some pain pills, and we kind of realized after a day or two, oh, she's got a head tilt. She had a stroke. And to add here, strokes are not necessarily a death sentence for cats. Most cats actually recover from strokes. She was not recovering. She'd also lost over a pound since she was last in, which was only a couple months ago, and she was not an overweight cat, but she was not getting better. Even on pain medicine, she was still hiding, and she didn't even want to eat very much anymore. She was just laying around all day, and she got to the point she completely refused to take her Dasequin, which I just want to pull this out here. If you have an elderly cat, especially if they are obese or have been obese most of their life, get them on Dasequin. It's just a joint supplement for cats. It's not prescription. You can just get it off Amazon. It's not really expensive, but oh my god, it makes such a difference. The vet told us to get Daisy on it, and it really turned her around. It's supposed to take like a couple weeks before you notice the difference. We noticed the difference in Daisy in like a week. Like, oh my god. And then we put Lady on it, and suddenly she was jumping on the tables again. She was just moving all over the place. It makes a huge difference. I just want to take a moment to recommend that product for any cat owners out there. It gives them such good quality. The hard part is getting them to take it consistently. But we made the call to let Lady go. We don't know exactly how old she was. We got her as an adult, and by her teeth, the vet was like, she's somewhere between like 2 and 8. That's all we can tell. We just said she was about 3 when we got her, which put her about a year younger than Lily, so she was about 14, 15-ish. 2010, 2011, we're not quite sure which she was born in. But we also don't know much about her background. All we know is for sure that we were at least her 3rd owners. To be honest, it's so long ago, I don't really remember what all I said back then. But, you're gonna bonker. Okay, now that's mean. That is disrespectful. That's catnip. What do you expect from him? So, Lady actually showed up at my grandfather's house. And he liked cats, but his wife did not. So, when this stray showed up, he started feeding her, but he just couldn't bring her in the house. And, like, not to speak too ill of my grandfather, but he wasn't exactly, like, the best pet owner. He kind of took a notion of, she eats if she shows up, and if she doesn't show up at the exact time, you snooze, you lose. Even if she shows up later, no, I'm not gonna feed her if she shows up later. She has to show up on time if she wants to eat. I don't think he ever even gave her a name. He just called her the cat. But, you know, I went over there one day with my brother and my cousin and stuff to see his new cat. Like, hey, Sassy's good at being able to tell, you know, who's a girl and a boy. She'll be able to tell you the gender of this cat. I was like, that's a girl. And they're like, but it's an orange cat. Orange cats aren't really girls. Are you sure you got that right? I'm like, it's a girl. But we kept telling my grandpa, if you are going to keep this cat, go get her spayed. Get her spayed. For like 2 months, we were telling him, go get this cat spayed. And here's a fun fact about my grandfather. He was a cheapskate. And he also had no sentimental attachment to basically anything, including animals. So, you know, one day he was talking to my mom and he's like, you know, this cat, she's starting to get fat. And we're like, oh my god, we told you to get her spayed. So his solution was he was just gonna take her to the pound. And we're like, they euthanize pregnant cats around here. They don't just spay them, they euthanize them. And it's like, okay, we gotta step in here. We will take the cat, we will let her have her babies, we will get her spayed, and then return her to you. And that was the point I started making videos, and you guys can still go back and watch all the kitten vlogs. She had 5 little tortoiseshells and 1 orange boy. But as you can tell, Lady never went back to live with my grandfather. because he started getting sick, and he's like, I bet this cat gave me a parasite. I bet the cat's making me sick. Turns out, he had cancer. Obviously, he couldn't take care of this cat, so we just kind of ended up with her. And he died about a year and a half later. But since he never named this cat, I went ahead and I named her Lady, because she was the lady in red. And my aunt was like, that's not a red cat. That coloring is called orange marmalade. So she was an orange marmalade. But we got her kittens adopted out. We kept Windsor. She was the only cat that tolerated Lady. And I say tolerated because I don't think even her own daughter really liked her. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have the best relationship with Lady. She was truly a Regina George. If you watch Lily's video from earlier, you might know that her and Lily had like a lifelong rivalry because Lady started that fight. She was beating her up. She chipped Lily's ear. And then Lily never let her live that down. They were just always spatting. And every other cat that would get close to Lady and just, you know, just exist in her presence, she'd beat them up. She'd slap them away. She only wanted human attention. She didn't want to be around other cats, but she was forced to live around other cats anyways. But she'd smack them and then come to you like she was the poor innocent victim. And it's like, oh my God, girl. And then because she was starting to get picked on when she was in the litter box, you know, the most vulnerable place, she decided she'd start peeing everywhere else. Number one spot of choice was my bed. And that was the start of our relationship really going downhill. For 2 years, she like just kept peeing on my bed. And then she moved on to basically just peeing in the bathroom. But then she started peeing in my room again. But we gave her the nickname Pee Willy because she was like allergic to going anywhere else. Even after Lily was gone, she still peed in the bathroom all the time. She finally stopped doing it in my room though. And I've said this multiple times, just to iterate, she did not have a health problem. She went to the vet multiple times for this. It was ruled behavioral. But yeah, she would pick fights and then she'd run and hide behind Windsor. And even Windsor would look at me like, are you gonna do something about this? And man, even with Thunder Thighs, after his two best friends died and him and Lady were the only ones left outside, you know, he was so affectionate with other cats. He's the type that would run up, butt heads, walk with tails intertwined. I've never seen a cat more affectionate and bonded with other cats than he was. But after all of his friends were gone, he desperately just wanted someone to love. And Lady was there, and he'd keep approaching her. And she'd turn, look at him, and he'd pause, you know, his head bowed. Like he wanted someone to groom, someone to love. And she would turn and smack him. Even with people, I was like, oh, she had kittens, she'll love a baby. And I'm like, oh, I don't really know. And then she hit him and got her claw stuck in the back of his head. She didn't like other cats. The only one she liked was her daughter. And to be honest, I think it's only because they were never separated. But she actually did have a short reunion with her son, Tribble, because he went to a family member. He went to my uncle. And he brought him over once. We told him not to do that, but he did anyways. I mentioned this a long time ago, but Tribble didn't live very long. I don't remember exactly what I said in that video. I did not want my uncle to get a kitten, but my mom was like, I can't deny him a kitten from his dying father's cat. So he picked out Tribble. And I don't really think I can get into the details much. His death was not an accident. My uncle did not have a good relationship with his father, and Tribble died on the anniversary of his death. We kind of knew it was coming and asked to please give us the cat back, and he refused. And then Tribble was gone. And then Windsor passed away too. I don't know anything about the other 4 kittens, where they are now, but I do know that at least 2 of her babies went before her. The one thing is, Windsor lost all of her teeth to a gum disease. And for a while I thought she must have gotten it from her father, because Lady's teeth were fine. Turns out Lady had the same gum disease, so Lady ended up losing all but 4 of her teeth. They were, the only 4 left were the bottom, like, front ones. So all she had left were 4 very tiny little nubbins, but she got around that. My mom said she once even saw her just devour like a mouse outside, and we're like, how did she do that without any teeth? But losing all of her teeth definitely changed the shape of her jaw, because she began drooling like a Saint Bernard. This cat would come up to you purring, you'd pet her, and she'd shake her head and soak you. And she'd do this multiple times a minute. I have never had such a slobbery cat. And like, she wanted you to pet her, but she'd swish her tail and slap at you. And you know, not cats, they're overstimulated. They want you to stop. So you'd stop petting her. Then she'd get mad you stopped petting her and keep rubbing herself up against you. And it's like, honey, you slapped me. She never looked happy. She had this grumpy look on her face. I guess that was just how her face was structured. Like she was a grumpy cat. And you might have noticed, like, the last couple years we've been keeping her shaved. That's because she has always dealt with mats. We think she might have been like a little bit Persian. Her fur was so light and fluffy, and if you looked at it wrong, it got matted. And she loved being brushed, but oh my god, we could not keep up. That and her curly belly, which she did not want touched. At one point, the mats just got really bad that we couldn't cut them out with scissors, which, yes, I know, you should not do. So the vet recommended a groomer for us to take her to, and gave us like some chill pills. And so we followed all that. We took her to the groomer. They just shaved her belly. They didn't take out like any mats at all, and we're like, okay, that was a waste of money. But one of our neighbors had their kid over. It's like, oh, they're a groomer. So we're like, hey, can you just like come over to our house and shave our cat for us? So again, we gave her a chill pill, and right there on our kitchen, we're like, okay, just get her shaved. And we found out why the groomer only shaved her belly. That cat would not stay still. She freaked out. It was only a couple minutes, but oh my god. And I understand her freak out because they kind of shaved off a couple nipples. So from that point on, I kind of just went, I'm just gonna buy some clippers and do it myself. Which I know is very frowned upon because cats have very thin skin. They're very easy to nick, and especially when you have a very skinny cat like Lady. I swear to god, that cat, even when she was pregnant, you could feel her ribs. She was always free-fed. She's just like a twig. But that makes it even harder to shave them. But like, the chill pills were not working. The groomers that we took them to, that our vet recommended, they didn't mention any behavioral issues. They just kind of sent her out the door. And at that point, we were spending a lot of money and not really getting results. So I just did it myself. To shave her though, it was, for a while there, a 2, maybe 3-person job. My mom would hold her, wearing the thickest coat she could and gloves. Even though this cat had no teeth, oh my god, she would try and gum you to death. It would take us almost an hour of just bear hugging her to get the knots out. And like once she even twisted, reached up and slapped my mom in the face, almost got her in the eye. She did not want to be shaved. But as she got older, it really became apparent she could not take care of her coat. And because she drooled a lot, her little lion's mane, she always looked like a little lion, it became so disgusting with saliva and spit. It was always one giant knot. So I just started shaving her down completely. And you know, they do use their teeth for grooming too, so that probably made it worse. But it just became apparent, and I think easier on both of us, if she just stayed short. And when it was short, she was actually able to groom it and maintain it. It didn't get as oily or anything, but god, she hated it. She did not like being bald. I think she was so used to being fluffy her whole life, she just was acclimated to warmer temperatures, always feeling warm. So when she didn't have hair, she'd curl up in the tiniest little loaf and shiver. She hated the cold. Winter was like the one time she actually just wanted to be inside. Like, my enemy is in here, please let me out. Oh shoot, it's cold. No, right back in, let me in. She just absolutely hated snow and anything cold. And you know, it was kind of surprising considering, you know, she was so fluffy. Actually, it's mostly because of her fights with Lily that she stayed outside most of the time. I know cats outside is a really controversial thing, but she was outside a lot anyways, and the fact is she peed everywhere in the house and she was getting beat up inside, so she liked being out. And around that time, we basically had like a whole colony we were feeding. There were TNR cats. They could not come inside, and they looked out for each other. There was a time, because we had to have cat food out because there were like 5 cats outside, raccoons would come and they were very entitled to the cat food. And once one came and it wanted food and there was no food, but it tried to climb up on the table anyways. And that's where Lady was, and she started growling and backing up, and she was very unhappy. I don't know for sure if it was hunting her or if it was coming up for cat food, but I saw the whole thing happen, and so I banged on the window and I got to run off, and my boys, they saw a member of their colony being threatened and they ran that raccoon off. They were beating it up the whole way. And for the next few days, they stuck close to the girls. Like, they weren't gonna let something happen to one of their own. So one of her favorite places, actually, when she was outside is the catnip that next. This all came up naturally. We did not plant this. She'd make herself a little nest and just sleep there. But she was a lot to take care of. She has such beautiful long hair. I call her the Fluffinator. And you know, it didn't look good, but I think I was getting better at shaving her. It got to the point as she got older, I was able to do it solo. She kind of just laid there and let me shave her, which was so uncharacteristic of her. And then I got her on Dazaquin, and then like a month later, I gave her a shave down, and she fought me. I'm like, oh God, you have a much bigger fire under you today, ma'am. After the stroke, she kind of stopped grooming herself entirely. She was so greasy, you could take like a damp paper towel, wipe her down, and it turned brown. But you know, I think the pain meds did help. She spent the other day laying on my bed, getting lots of treats, and that was probably the first time she'd been on my bed, allowed to stay on my bed, in like a decade. I was even surprised she slept with me last night. She has never done that before. The timing of this was just also really unfortunate because like her worst enemy is finally dead and she didn't even get to enjoy it. But anyways, that was Lady, a huge diva whose beauty really only ran skin deep. But we loved her anyway.